Lee Rigby was born on the 29th of March 1988 in Manchester, England. He was raised in a close-knit family that emphasized strong values, love, and support. Growing up, Lee shared a particularly close relationship with his older sister, who described him as caring and protective. Their family life was characterized by strong bonds and a sense of community. From an early age, Lee was active and engaged. He had a keen interest in music, particularly playing the drums, and he also enjoyed sports, especially football. His enthusiasm for sports led him to play regularly with friends, and he was known for his competitive spirit. Teachers and classmates admired Lee for his friendly demeanor and willingness to help others, which contributed to his popularity in school. Lee attended different schools in Manchester, where he was generally a good student. He showed a particular interest in subjects that allowed him to express himself, though he sometimes struggled with the more academic aspects of his education. Nevertheless, his determination to succeed was evident, and he often participated in extracurricular activities. After completing his secondary education, Lee faced a significant decision. He felt a strong calling to serve his country and decided to enlist in the British Army. His family supported his choice, seeing it as a noble path that aligned with his values. In 2006, at the age of 18, Lee Rigby joined the army, entering the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. Basic training was both challenging and transformative for him. It built his discipline, resilience, and teamwork skills. Lee excelled during his training, earning the respect of his peers and superiors. His military career included various postings, and he took part in several operations. Lee was deployed to Afghanistan, where he served in a combat role. He experienced the realities of military life firsthand, which shaped his perspective and strengthened his resolve to serve. During his time in the army, Lee was known for his upbeat personality and ability to uplift those around him. He participated in regimental events and enjoyed the camaraderie that came with being part of the military. His sense of humor often lightened the mood during difficult times, making him a beloved member of his unit. Outside of his military duties, Lee had a vibrant personal life. He loved music and spent his free time playing the drums, often sharing his passion with friends and family. Lee was also a devoted fan of Manchester United, eagerly watching games and discussing them with fellow fans. Lee valued friendships and enjoyed spending time with those close to him. He had a circle of friends from both his military and civilian life, and he often organized gatherings for football matches or music events. His sociable nature helped him build lasting relationships, which provided support during challenging times. Lee Rigby married Rebecca in 2007. Their relationship began during their teenage years, and they shared a strong bond built on mutual respect and love. As a couple, they supported each other through the ups and downs of life, including Lee's military service. In 2010, Lee and Rebecca welcomed their son, Jack. Becoming a father was one of the proudest moments of Lee's life. He was a dedicated husband and father, balancing his military commitments with family responsibilities. Rebecca often spoke about Lee's deep love for their son and how he cherished every moment with him. The Rigby family enjoyed spending time together, often taking trips and participating in family activities. Lee was known for his caring nature, always putting his family first. Rebecca described him as a loving husband who made an effort to be present in their lives despite his military duties. But then everything changed. On May 22, 2013, while off duty, Lee was walking near the Royal Artillery Barracks in Woolwich, southeast London. He was targeted by Michael Adebolajo and Michael Adebowale, two men who viewed him as a representative of the British military. The attack occurred in broad daylight, and several witnesses were nearby. As Lee was struck by a vehicle driven by Adebolajo and Adebowale, onlookers were initially confused about what was happening. Some witnesses rushed to help Lee, while others called for emergency services. The scene was chaotic, with people in shock over the unfolding violence. Footage of the attack quickly began circulating on social media, capturing the horrifying nature of the incident. News outlets reported on the tragedy, highlighting the political motivations behind the attack. As details emerged, it became clear that this was not just an isolated act of violence, but a politically charged attack that raised concerns about security and community relations. The decision to murder Lee Rigby was not made in haste. It was the result of a deliberate plan. Adebolajo and Adebowale were motivated by extremist ideologies, viewing their actions as a form of revenge for what they believed were injustices against Muslims. They became increasingly radicalized over time, influenced by extremist propaganda that justified violence against perceived enemies. In the months leading up to the attack, the two men discussed their intentions openly. They chose to target a soldier in a public setting, believing that it would send a strong message. Their planning involved running down Lee with a car and then attacking him with knives, maximizing the shock value of their actions. On the day of the attack, Adebolajo and Adebowale executed their plan. They hit Lee with a car, causing him to fall to the ground. After incapacitating him, they proceeded to attack him with knives and a meat cleaver. The brutality of the attack was shocking, not just for its violence but also for its public execution style. Their attack was motivated by extremist beliefs that framed their actions as a form of revenge. Witnesses were horrified as they watched the violence unfold. Some tried to intervene, but the attack was quick and brutal. The scene left a lasting impression on those who witnessed it, as they struggled to comprehend the sheer savagery of the act. The motivations behind the attack were deeply rooted in the attackers' radical beliefs. Adebolajo and Adebowale viewed Lee Rigby as a symbol of British military involvement in conflicts in Muslim-majority countries. They believed that killing him was a justified act of vengeance against the perceived injustices inflicted on Muslims around the world. During the attack, Adebolajo was seen attempting to explain their actions to onlookers, framing it as a response to the UK's military actions abroad. Their extremist ideology twisted their view of justice, leading them to believe they were acting on behalf of oppressed Muslims, even though the vast majority of Muslims condemned such violence. The events surrounding the capture of Michael Adebolajo and Michael Adebowale following the brutal murder of Lee Rigby are as critical as the attack itself. Their apprehension involved a combination of eyewitness accounts, quick police response, and the use of available technology. After the attack on Lee Rigby in Woolwich, the scene was chaotic. Witnesses reported the incident to the police, describing the violence they had just witnessed. Many bystanders were horrified, with some attempting to intervene and others calling emergency services. The attackers were still present at the scene, and their brazen actions drew attention from both witnesses and local authorities. Witnesses played a crucial role in the identification of Adebolajo and Adebowale. Many bystanders recorded videos on their smartphones, capturing key moments of the attack and the aftermath. Some individuals approached the attackers, while others stayed at a safe distance but provided detailed descriptions of their appearance and actions to the police. These eyewitness accounts helped paint a clearer picture of the events leading up to Lee Rigby's murder. The first emergency services arrived quickly at the scene, responding to the reports of a serious incident. They found Lee Rigby critically injured and immediately began administering first aid. At the same time, the police began to assess the situation, focusing on locating the attackers who remained at the scene. While the paramedics attended to Lee, police officers quickly surrounded the area. This swift action was critical in ensuring that the attackers could not escape. The police began to secure the scene, directing witnesses and gathering information about the attackers' identities. Adebolajo and Adebowale remained at the scene, standing next to Lee's body. Reports indicate that Adebolajo was attempting to explain their actions to onlookers, trying to justify the murder as a political statement. This bravado did not deter the police. Instead, it allowed officers to approach them without resistance. Police confronted the attackers, and they were promptly arrested. Eyewitnesses later recounted how the two men did not attempt to flee or fight back when the police arrived. The immediate action of law enforcement prevented the situation from escalating further and ensured that the attackers were taken into custody without additional violence. Following the arrests, investigators began to gather evidence from the scene. This included collecting the knives and other weapons used in the attack, as well as analyzing any digital evidence from the videos and images taken by witnesses. The gathered evidence played a significant role in the subsequent trials of Adebolajo and Adebowale, helping to establish the premeditated nature of the attack. Once in custody, both men were charged with murder. The evidence collected from the scene, alongside the witness testimonies, formed the basis of the prosecution's case against them. The swift and efficient police response not only ensured that justice could be pursued, but also highlighted the importance of community cooperation in such critical situations. In conclusion, the capture of Michael Adebolajo and Michael Adebowale was the result of a combination of eyewitness accounts, quick police response, and their own decision to remain at the scene. The rapid actions of law enforcement prevented further chaos and ensured that the attackers were held accountable for their actions. Michael Adebolajo was born on December 10, 1984, in London to Nigerian parents. Growing up in a Christian household, he experienced a significant shift in ideology during his teenage years, eventually gravitating towards radical Islamist beliefs. Adebolajo faced a troubled upbringing, marked by feelings of alienation and frustration, which contributed to his radicalization. He had previously been arrested for attempting to travel to Somalia to join extremist groups. Michael Adebowale, born on March 18, 1991, shared a similar trajectory. He was also born to Nigerian parents and struggled with issues of identity and belonging. Adebowale's radicalization was influenced by the same extremist narratives that captivated Adebolajo, as they both felt a deep sense of grievance over Western military actions in Muslim-majority countries. Both attackers had personal lives that were significantly affected by their actions. Michael Adebolajo was married and had children. After his arrest, his family faced intense scrutiny and media attention. They expressed shock and dismay over his violent actions, attempting to distance themselves from the attack. The emotional toll on his wife and children was profound as they navigated the aftermath of his radicalization. Michael Adebowale also had family ties that were strained by his choices. His mother publicly expressed her heartbreak over his radicalization, emphasizing her shock at the violence he committed. Like Adebolajo's family, Adebowale's relatives faced societal stigma and distress following his actions. Their lives were turned upside down, dealing with the repercussions of the attack. The public response to Lee's murder was immediate and deeply emotional. Vigils and memorials sprang up across the UK, with people from all walks of life coming together to honor his memory. These gatherings highlighted the shared grief felt by many and reinforced a sense of unity in the face of tragedy. However, the incident also incited a wave of anti-Muslim sentiment. Some communities experienced backlash, facing increased scrutiny and hostility. The media coverage played a significant role in shaping public perceptions, often focusing on the attackers' religious motivations, which exacerbated fears and divisions within society. After the attack, both Adebolajo and Adebowale were apprehended and charged with murder. Their trials, which began in late 2013, captivated the nation. Throughout the proceedings, chilling details about the planning and execution of the attack were revealed, showcasing a disturbing level of premeditation. During the trial, Adebolajo attempted to defend his actions by framing them as a legitimate response to the suffering of Muslims worldwide. His statements during the trial and after the attack garnered significant media attention, further polarizing public opinion. Both men were found guilty of murder, with Adebolajo receiving a life sentence with a minimum of 45 years and Adebowale receiving a minimum of 30 years. This means that Adebolajo will be eligible for parole in 2058, while Adebowale could seek parole as early as 2043, assuming they do not engage in behavior that extends their sentences. The murder of Lee Rigby remains a tragic reminder of the complexities of modern society, where issues of extremism, identity, and community cohesion intersect. Rigby's legacy is one of service, family, and a life cut short. The ongoing discussions surrounding the case continue to emphasize the importance of understanding the factors that lead to radicalization and the need for greater community engagement to combat such ideologies. In remembering Lee Rigby, we honor not just his life and sacrifice as a soldier, but also the values of compassion, unity, and resilience that communities strive to uphold in the face of adversity. The case serves as a call to action for society to engage in meaningful dialogue, fostering understanding and working together to create a future free from violence and division.